The desert. It can be a dangerous place. Survival is the key. That's the case today as the nationwide championship race arrives in Arizona. The championship leader is a rising star looking to validate the hype surrounding him. The challenger, a veteran who has claimed IndyCar glory but is still looking to secure his NASCAR future. A mere 6 points separate the two, and performance today could be the difference between making the title a reality or just something they imagine.
You can see it, can't you? It's right there, right in front of you. But you can't grab it. Not yet. Here in the desert, this is the racer's thirst. It tortures and inspires, all at once. For one, it will become a reality. For the other, merely a mirage.
The Phoenix International Raceway, located just about a half-hour west of downtown Phoenix. Let me tell you, there aren't many racetracks that rival the scenery here. A great location at the base of the Estrella Mountains, and fans have come from all over enjoying a little tailgating in the desert. They're here to witness the excitement of this nationwide championship battle, and it couldn't get much tighter either. So here's how things stand with just 2 races to go. Dillon and Hornish are very much in command of what has become a 2-man shootout for the nationwide crown. They've created quite a cushion from the rest of the pack. So what's it like for these championship contenders? Let's check in with both of them, beginning with Sam Hornish, who's with Vince Welch. Vince?
Mike, it has been an outstanding championship battle. We know Austin Dillon's going to the Sprint Cup Series next year. Sam Hornish Jr. still finalizing plans for next season, so who knows what kind of potential battles we may have between these two down the road. But let's focus on today and these next 2 races. You're 6 points behind, Sam. How do you size up where you are with 2 to go?
We'd love to be way ahead, but that's not where we're at right now. Yesterday, our car wasn't as good as we needed it to be. The guys worked hard overnight, trying to figure out how to make it better. We had multiple meetings, and we felt like we qualified above what our potential was yesterday. So we're happy with how the day has started for us, and just got to have good pit stops, good strategy. And I've been having a lot of fun being part of this championship battle, and we're fully expecting it to go into next week, and just try to do the things that we need to do to put ourselves in the best position to win.
You mentioned that the car wasn't quite as good as you'd hoped it was in practice. You've won here before, so you know what it takes to have a great race car that's capable of winning. What do you need from the car today to get there?
I think that we've gotten the car close enough now. Now we're going to have to tweak on it as the track changes a little bit, as the sun's going to start to set and maybe hide behind the grandstands. But the big thing for us is just the pit stops. Strategy for this race is so key because NASCAR, not NASCAR, but Goodyear brings a harder tire here because of this repave. There's a lot of things that you have to do with track position and trying to figure out 2 tires, 4 tires, no tires, fuel only, stuff like that. So, a lot of pressure, on the guys that are making the calls today.
It's going to be exciting. Sam Hornish Jr. currently 2nd in the points. Let's go to Jamie Little. She's with the man leading the way.
And he has a 6-point advantage right now. And you told me yesterday, Austin, this car just unloaded. It's one of the best you've had all year long. How can that translate to a good outcome today?
Well, obviously, you want to have speed in the car, and it did. It was really consistent yesterday. My guys did a great job with their homework, and just happy to be out here with the Advocare Chevrolet. We had a great team meeting before the race, and we're all going to work together and give 110%. I'm really proud of my team. They've done a great job this year, and just want to finish strong.
When it comes to experience, you have won NASCAR Truck Series championship. Meanwhile, Sam Hornish Jr. has 3 IndyCar Series championships. Who has the advantage?
I'm going to take my team and our focus. I feel like we've done a great job leading up to this point in time, and we're going to stay consistent and take it home.
All right, Austin Dillon did a heck of a job in qualifying. He'll be on the front row. Mike Massaro?
Thank you, Jamie. And high above turn 3, on the side of what's known as Rattlesnake Hill, that's where you'll find the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio. There it is as we zoom in. One of the best vantage points in all of racing.
Outside them rattlesnakes.
Yeah, let's keep those rattlesnakes away. Hello, everyone. Welcome to NASCAR Countdown. I'm Mike Massaro, filling in for Nicole Briscoe this week, who's on maternity leave, and I'm honored to be joined by Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace, former race-winning car owner Brad Doherty, and 3-time championship crew chief Ray Evernham. And, of course, the story today is the championship race. Austin Dillon leading by just 6 points over Sam Hornish Jr. What are you expecting out of these two today?
Mike, I think it's going to be a real close race. I really do. I feel better about Austin Dillon's chances right now. I mean, you can hear in his voice that his car is real good. Sam seems like he's searching just a little bit. But when it gets down to it, when this race is halfway in or right at the very end, I expect it to be very, very close. There's been a lot of conversation about Sam Hornish, his ride next year. We know Austin Dillon's going on to Cup. He knows what he's going to do. I talked to Roger Penske this afternoon on the telephone. He said, Rusty, we want Sam to stay with us. We're trying to find sponsors right now. Although I did tell him if he needs to go out to look for something, I encourage him to do that in case we can't do this. But we do want to keep Sam in this car. And for my opinion, that's pretty refreshing to hear that because we thought Sam was gone at the end of this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And as you look at Sam and Austin, they've been the class of the field outside of the Cup guys week in and week out in this nationwide series. So I expect both of these guys to run extremely well here. Sam has been consistently fast throughout his history at this racetrack. So I think that we're going to see a great race today with Austin maybe finishing just a little bit ahead of Sam and continuing on his lead into Homestead. But we got a lot of racing before we figure that out.
Yeah, consistently was a key word there. You know, we looked at both these guys about halfway through the season and said they both had to work on their consistency. Sam has speed, but had trouble with crashes and things like that, took him out. Austin had about the same thing. Seems like Austin has followed that curve, gotten more consistent, has run well, has not won yet, but I expect him to creep out and be consistent, run well here today.
You make an excellent point. Austin Dillon, as you say, has not won a race yet. He would become the first champion ever in this series to win the title without actually winning a race. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't think there's much to it other than the fact that Austin wants to win a race because he's competitive, and he also wants to win a race so he doesn't have to have us asking him all year long about not winning a race and winning the championship. At the end of the day, that big trophy's the one that he wants to hold. Really doesn't matter if he wins a race or not. All that matters is whether or not you win a championship.
And big trophy is the key. He's a racer. He wants to win racers, but I still think he's got something to prove to people with that big trophy based on Kevin Harvick's comments.
Good point.
From the Martinsville truck race.
Yeah, good point.
I tell you what, guys, I mean, the NASCAR Nationwide Series doesn't have a chase for the championship. This is just a normal point battle. Who gets the most points at the end of the year wins. And in my opinion, look, if he doesn't win a race, I don't care.
Doesn't taint it at all, does it?
No, not at all, Brad. As long as he wins a championship, that's a big deal because you know what? They're going to forget about him not winning. They're going to remember him forever about being a champion. So, look, if he doesn't win, guys, it doesn't bother me at all.
And this could all go away in the next couple of weeks because he's got two more opportunities.
He could easily win here today.
That's
Absolutely. Right. You know, you can't win a college football championship, though, without winning a game. And certainly Notre Dame and Pittsburgh understand that. They played 3 overtimes last year in South Bend. So it's going to be a big one. The encore tonight at Heinz Field. Brian Kelly's Fighting Irish need a big win to move closer to a major bowl bid, while Paul Christ's Panthers look for the upset to keep their bowl eligibility alive. Saturday Night Football presented by Windows. Number 23 Notre Dame at Pittsburgh tonight, 8 Eastern on ABC. Still ahead, one of today's favorites has to be Matt Kenseth, but with the Sprint Cup Championship implications hanging over his head tomorrow, is he taking too much of a risk today? We'll discuss when we return.
I ate some rattlesnake here last year. Guess what?
Tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken. Absolutely.
NASCAR Countdown is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side.
The Estrella Mountains, which serve as a backdrop for this racetrack, are named for the Spanish word meaning star, and it seems fitting considering how many stars are in this race. There are several Sprint Cup regulars, no different than usual. In fact, Cup Series regulars have combined to win 24 of the 32 races this year. That includes Matt Kenseth, who has 2 wins. Kenseth is once again in the field today aboard the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. He'll roll off 7th. Today is simply a warm-up act, though, for Kenseth. His focus is clearly on the Sprint Cup title. Entering Sunday's race, the 9th of the chase, Kenseth is 2nd in the standings, just 7 points behind Jimmy Johnson. The main event for Matt is definitely tomorrow, but he's getting a little extra seat time today, Dave Burns.
Well, let's talk 2 topics with Matt Kenseth. How about mechanics and psychology? Which one do you want first?
I thought we were talking about my Gatorade, and you were wondering why it was pink.
Okay, we can talk sports drinks as well. It's nice. By the way, let's talk mechanics first. The new tire on the left side. How important for you to get 200 laps of racing, even though it's in a different car, today versus what you've had in Sprint Cup practice?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's always fun racing on Saturdays. It beats sitting on a couch and watching it. So I'm interested to get out there and see if the tire puts any more rubber down and widens the track out. So the track is more than ready for a second groove. We just got to get some rubber down on it, get some people up there, and get a tire that's soft enough to be able to move around a little bit. So I'm interested to see today if that second groove comes in. I guess I could see it watch on TV too, but I think it'll be good to be out there and see what it feels like and be able to move around a little bit and hopefully pick up a thing or two.
Being out there, Matt, anything short of a win, how do you guard against leaving here and going into tomorrow with some sort of a bad taste in your mouth from today?
I don't know. I mean, I think after every event, once you're done, downloading and going through what you should have done better and go through everything with your team and all that, I think it just, you always hit the reset button and get ready for the next day. So certainly I think what happens here today, good or bad, I don't really feel like it affects me on Sunday. Some people think it does. I really don't. So I'm looking forward to running here today. Our GameStop car's been decent, felt pretty good qualifying, even though it wasn't a great lap time. So I'm looking forward to going and mix it up with all these guys today.
Glad you thought that all through. Matt starts 7th today, Mike.
Thank you, Dave. And we should note this is the 4th consecutive nationwide race that Matt Kenseth has been a part of, the 5th during the chase. But there are two schools of thoughts on whether or not Matt should be in the nationwide race with the championship implications. Some support it, others oppose it. What do you think?
Well, I get it. I understand what they talk about with sponsors and commitments, but I also, the big goal is that Sprint Cup championship, and when the risk versus reward just doesn't make sense here. Matt Kenseth does not need the reps. He's not a guy that's going to lose his focus, and he's getting ready to take on what may be the best team in NASCAR history head to head. He needs to focus on the Cup stuff. I think this race today is a distraction based on the way that Matt qualified his Cup car yesterday.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I think what the reality of it is, at the beginning of the season, these deals are made with your sponsors that create opportunities for Matt to drive this car. It employs a lot of people for your business, your organization, so that goes into it. He's 2 races away, though, from winning the biggest trophy in all of NASCAR. I think he should be concentrating on that as opposed to racing in nationwide.
Guys, I tell you what, I think this is a terrible decision out of Joe Gibbs Racing to let Matt Kenseth run this nationwide series today, because he's second in the points and he's got a chance to win that Cup Series. I can't think of any gain whatsoever by running this nationwide race today. Only losses. Look, what if he goes out there and crashes? What if he just has a terrible car? And what if he gets out of the car, he's just in a horrible mood? Do I want my driver starting a Cup race tomorrow in a terrible mood because he had a terrible Saturday? Right. No, I don't. I think this is a terrible decision. I'm going to tell you right now, look, I do understand the business aspect of it. Maybe the sponsor wants Matt in a car, but I'd be saying, look, my guy's second in the points right now, and I'd probably put Denny Hamlin in.
That'd be a great
I'd
move.
probably do something like that.
Well, hindsight is 20/20, so I guess we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. Now, there's no question Matt Kenseth is at the peak of his career. That, however, cannot be said for every driver in the field. One such driver is Roush Fenway development driver Ryan Reed, who is making his 5th career start today. But as Dr. Jerry Punch explains, he's had to overcome a very serious obstacle even to make his first nationwide start.
When Ryan Reed was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 2010, the Super Late Model Division Rookie of the Year learned his career aspirations were in jeopardy.
When they told me that I would never be back in a race car, that was when it hit home how serious this was, and that this wasn't something that I was just going to be able to put a Band-Aid on and move on from. So, up to that point, nothing in my life had held me back, from anything I wanted to do.
What made you think you would find a way to get back in the race car?
My family was sitting around, my brother, my mom, my dad, and they just said, whatever you want to do, we're behind you, and I just said, I don't want to give up on this yet. I started Googling athletes with diabetes, and I came across the IndyCar driver Charlie Kimball's story. In this press release, I mentioned as Dr. Ann Peters, and she was in Southern California, only about 2 hours away from my house. So we get in the car and we drive down there, and she's like, well, how bad do you want it? I said, it's my life, I'd do anything. And she said, all right, you're going to be back in a race car.
Dr. Peters put Reed on a strict nutritional program designed to prepare him for the physical toll that comes along with racing as a diabetic.
One of the biggest tools I have inside the race car is a continuous glucose monitor. If my blood sugar is too low, I have kind of a concentrated sugar blend and endurance drink that I'll sip on to bring my blood sugar up. If my blood sugar is too high, we have a sight on my suit that'll direct the guy where to give me an insulin injection, and he'll reach through my window, give me an insulin shot, and bring my blood sugars down and keep racing.
In 2012, Ryan joined the ARCA Series. This year, as a Roush Fenway Racing developmental driver, Ryan earned a top 10 finish in Richmond.
What a story the kid in this 16 is.
And in 2014, just 3 years after his diagnosis, he will run full-time in the Nationwide Series for Roush.
What's your biggest fear in the race car?
I'm not scared of the diabetes. I don't live in fear of it. When I show up and I know that leading up to the race I've followed my nutritional program and done everything I'm supposed to do, then I'm not worried. But just like any other race car driver, I want to win, and not winning is my biggest fear.
What's the message you hope to be able to send when you drive by and people watching at home see it says, drive to stop diabetes on the side of your car?
I want to be a voice that says you can still continue to chase your dream. A little girl walked up to me and said, I started dancing again because you inspired me not to give up on it. When I was diagnosed, I quit dancing because I didn't think I could because of diabetes, and you've inspired me to keep going, and that was a win.
And a remarkable story. You can see Ryan Reed there getting ready to be introduced to the fans here at the Phoenix International Raceway. And gentlemen, as we all know, this is a difficult sport to do, even at 100%. What do you think of Ryan's situation?
It's great, Mike, and it's great that they have the technology to monitor the physical changes that this young man's going to go under, to know the difference between just the physical exertion of a regular driver versus what he has, and then to be able to address it, keep him racing. And I think it says to people, you can overcome a handicap and still compete at a high level. I think it's great.
Tells me a lot about this young man, the intestinal fortitude that he has to overcome this. It's a very difficult disease simply because the metabolic side effect of this is high glucose. So it mimics being dehydrated, thirsty, and those types of things. It tells me a lot about this young man to put himself in that 105, 110 degree race car and to go out and get after it. I'm very, very impressed.
I'm happy for him. I mean, I'm really happy that he was able to overcome this and understand it and get in the car and do what he wants to do, run his dream. But he just needs to understand his limitations. If he starts feeling bad out there, gets too hot, hey, don't push it too much. And I think he's got that in his head already.
Yeah, one of the thoughts there on that piece that stood out for me was, how bad do you want it? Clearly, he wants it pretty badly. Folks, we've got a way to enhance your racing experience. Check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy to catch all the live action from the Phoenix International Raceway. It includes 10 HD live race views, live chat, and live leaderboard. Still to come, one of the primary purposes of the Nationwide Series is providing a platform for young drivers to showcase their talents. So what does the future look like for some of this year's young guns? There are plenty of them in the fields. There's some young guns at the
Here comes lunch. Here comes lunch.
Oh, he's got that hat right. Look at that hat.
Pop's hanging out.
Right.
That is awesome. As good as it gets.
Welcome back to the Phoenix International Raceway for the ServiceMaster 200. A beautiful day here in Arizona. The perfect setting as we take a step closer to crowning the 2013 Nationwide Series champion. Lots of action down there on the grid as we get ready for the green flag. Championship leader Austin Dillon is one of many young drivers who has used this series as a way of showcasing his talents. He certainly won't be the last. There are so many young drivers in this series. One of them is Drew Herring, who is making his 5th start of the season today. He's had a couple top 10 finishes already, Jamie Little. So what's on his mind today?
Well, it's definitely his first start here at Phoenix. And Drew, I'm curious, racing for Joe Gibbs and racing against these cup-level drivers, how does that help expedite maybe your experience level moving forward?
It's huge. Number one for me, just because I get to be teammates with these guys. So I have a lot of great information to lean on from Kyle, from Matt, from Denny, from all these guys. So it's tremendous. It's like I've always said growing up, you know, I want to be the best. To be the best, you got to beat the best. And right now, the best are out here with us today. You know, we've got the winningest driver in Nationwide Series history with Kyle starting up front. So I was talking to him earlier. I said, if I can get up there and see you, I'm doing pretty good today. So I'm just really excited to be here with Dollar General and looking forward to hitting the track here at Phoenix. I feel like we got a great car and race trim. I slipped up a little bit in qualifying. Got me a pole earlier this year, but I want the big trophy at the end of the day.
Drew Herring is in the 20, and he's qualified 10th. Let's go over to Doc Funch.
Thank you, Jamie. With the youngest winner in Nationwide this year, 19-year-old Ryan Blaney. And Ryan, with so much at stake this weekend for Roger Penske, trying to win a driver's championship with Sam Hornish and an owner's title with a 22 car, what prompted him to run you in a 3rd car here this weekend?
Well, you know, obviously, you know, our win at Kentucky a few weeks ago definitely helped that out. I actually got that call right after Kentucky to say, you know, we'd like to run Phoenix. You know, just doing that gave me more experience in these Nationwide cars, and also with AutoZone coming on board for next year to be on Joey Logano's Cup car, we really kind of wanted to welcome them into the sport and try to give them a good race. So between those two things, this is what made it happen. So I'm really happy to, like I said, have AutoZone on the car and Ford. Hopefully we can repeat what happened at Kentucky today.
Hey, good luck to you. Good to have you here.
All right, thanks.
And typical Roger Penske, fulfilling a promise to a talented young driver, and by the way, a commitment to a new sponsor coming on board for 2014. Mike?
Thank you, Doc, and welcome back into the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio. And young drivers, there are plenty of them in this series, and Drew Herring and Ryan Blaney, they've made names for themselves already this year. Who else has stood out for you?
I think Alex Bowman, Arizona native. This is a guy that drives for a team that's not as well funded as some of the others, but Robbie Benton's team, he's been able to get 2 pole positions and half a dozen top 10s this year. A pole position at Texas. And as Doc Punch told us, it takes a big set of skills to get pole positions. Alex Bowman has skills.
Yes. The guy for me is going to be, I'd have to say Trevor Bayne. You know, I've looked at Trevor Bayne and try to understand a little bit more about what's going on with him this season. We thought he would be a little bit more assertive in this nationwide series. Just hasn't happened for him. So I think Trevor's trying to figure out what's going to happen to him going forward. I know he's going to be in the Cup car a little bit. He still wants to win races. He's adamant about winning races. Hope it happens for him.
I'll tell you, for me, guys, it's Travis Pastrana. I'm really concerned about Travis. I called him last night. We had a long conversation on the telephone. He said, Rusty, my runs have been terrible. This has been a lot tougher than I ever anticipated. He said, if I can't find a sponsor, I won't be back next year. And right now, the way I've been running, I can't find anything, and my runs just don't justify anybody spending money on me right now. So he's concerned. I'm concerned for Travis, but he loves NASCAR. He wants to be in NASCAR real bad. We wish him well.
Real quick, who leaves here with the point lead today?
Austin Dillon stretches it out a little.
Austin Dillon by just a little bit. He pushes ahead.
Yeah, for me also, it's got to be Austin Dillon. He's qualified well. He's handled and run well. This car looks good out there. And that guy right there, Richard Childress, he knows how to win championships.
All right, so squarely the pressure is on Sam Hornish Jr. to try to close the gap this afternoon. That does it for Countdown, but we're not done yet. No, sir. The excitement is just starting to build, and when we return, we'll bring you closer to the green flag here in the Valley of the Sun. Don't go away, folks. There's plenty of pressure in the air, especially surrounding the nationwide championship leaders. Just 6 points separate Austin Dillon from Sam Hornish Jr. with only 2 races remaining. Suffice to say, there is little margin for error. Now, as we get you closer to the green flag, it's time to go trackside.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Flowing Wells High School Junior ROTC Color Guard present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Phoenix International Raceway Chaplain David Grimes offers today's invocation.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this book. We thank you for your loving kindness and tender mercies and the great love that you show for us continually. We thank you for our veterans who we celebrate, especially this weekend, and for the many men and women serving across the world that keep us free. So we just ask that you continue to bless us to make this race safe and fun. We ask it in your wonderful name. Amen.
Now, here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Radio Disney's Next Big Thing artist, Fifth Harmony.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air. Yeah.
rendition of the national anthem. And you can feel the excitement starting to build, gentlemen. What will you be watching for today?
Mike, I'm going to be looking at the back straightaway, those cars cutting down low on that apron, because when they do that, it sets up for a terrible straight entry into turn 3, and it causes a lot of crashes. We saw that with Elliott Sadler the last couple of years. I'll be looking at that. That's a real problem area for me.
I'm going to be watching for the same thing tomorrow that I'll be watching for today, restarts. It could have a big effect. We see a lot of guys get bunched up. It could decide this championship, and tomorrow as well.
Cup driver's going to be battling for the win. They're going to use up a lot of that racetrack, busy in the kink, and I'm watching that Brad don't get rattlesnakes in here.
Rattlesnakes, man. Absolutely. Got to have some rattlesnakes.
No rattlesnakes, but as you heard earlier in the show, he likes to eat rattlesnakes.
They're good.
It
They taste like chicken, but the chicken tastes like rattlesnakes.
I'm not going to try that one.
I think that wraps it up for us. Time now to go upstairs to the guys who will be calling the race today. Andy Petrie, Dale Jarrett, and Alan Bester. Gaby?
All right, Mikey, thanks. And the story of this race today for the two drivers competing for the Nationwide Series Championship, run the whole race.
Yeah, you never know what can happen, and there was a race not any more evident than that than Sam Hornish back here in March. He had a problem at the start of the race, got involved in an accident, a lot of things happening, but this race team used this, I bet, as a motivational day for them. Don't ever give up, because you don't know what you might be able to accomplish. He went on to finish 7th in a day that looked like it could be terrible for him. If they win this championship, they'll look back on this day to know that that race team did everything possible to make it all happen, so don't ever give up. This is going to go down to the last laps.
Yeah, you never know what kind of cards you're going to be dealt. You can only play your hand. They did a great job of that. And one thing you got to remember, too, is your competitor may be down, but he's not out. So don't count him out. You got to keep racing the whole race.
About the last 3 months, the Nationwide Series has been a race between two teams. The Joe Gibbs 54 and the Roger Penske 22. Brad Keselowski driving the 22 today. Kyle Busch, of course, in the 54. But there may be some party crashers here for going to victory lane at Phoenix today.
Yeah, it could be. These RCR cars had really good this weekend. Don't forget just how good Kevin Harvick is here at Phoenix. Won a lot of races. He'll be strong. And don't forget really how good Brian Scott ran. That's another RCR car that ran great at Richmond. And that kind of carries over to this little short, kind of, I call it a short track. I know it's a mile, but it's a short track like Richmond here.
Yeah, Brian Scott talked with him yesterday, really wanted to get that first win, knows that this is a great opportunity for it. All 3 of those cars with the 3 car of Austin Dillon starting second, starting in the top 5. Watch for them to be strong, but they also know that that 22 and 54 is who they will have to beat.
Well, can Brian Scott or Kevin Harvick crash the Joe, I'm in the politest sense of the word, crash the party for victory between 54 and 22? We find out that and how this race plays into the Nationwide Series Championship story when the engines fire next.